I was going through some footage from a short film that I shot earlier this year. Actually, we covered a scene from that short film in the last video on how to use color, and I noticed that there's like 3 scenes in particular that I shoot all the time. Right? It's the person in the bathroom looking in the mirror, you know, crying or brushing their teeth or doing something like that. The person the doorway scene. Right, where it's like you're arguing with somebody or you're talking to somebody or somebody comes knocking trying to sell you a vacuum cleaner, right? And then you have the laying in the bed, tossing and turning, I'm texting somebody scene. So I thought it would be helpful for us to go through those 3 scenes, see how I lit them, right? Now it doesn't mean that that's the only way to light it. There's probably hundreds of ways to light this, but just kind of looking through these scenes, and if you find yourself in a similar situation, then maybe this could help you out. We're going to get into it pretty quick today, but in case you haven't been here before, I'm Paul. I'm a cinematographer. All right. I got short films I've worked on. I got some of my own short films. I also do some corporate work. I also shoot videos for small businesses. And I'm going to link some of these short films here so you can check them out and let me know if you like them. All right. But we're going to jump straight into this thing today. Let's go over the first scene, which is the doorway scene. We got 2 characters here. We got guy that's knocking on the door. We got the other guy that opens the door. All right. Nothing too crazy. We've seen this a million times in a million different movies. Okay. But let's go over this real quick. Let's see how we lit this thing. All right. So this first character here, this is Trey. I'll put his Instagram on here. Go check him out. What we did is we had a aperture, right? We had a 300D on a C stand. We also had a light dome on there. And we had the grid on here to kind of control the spill a little bit. And that is providing this light that you see here. The main reason we did that is it was too dark. You could barely see him. And I wanted you to be able to see what was going on in the shot, right? It also helped us here because we had that same 300D, right? And what that was doing was it was bouncing light off of this door and kind of helping fill in that side of this character's face, right? It wasn't falling into darkness as much as Trey's character was, but the contrast ratio it just wasn't what we wanted. So that's what kind of helped light that up a little bit. So it was serving 2 purposes. And then what we did for this side of Blair's face right here is we used an aperture B7C, right? I cannot remember if we put that on a light stand or if I just threw it in a lamp or something, but that's what's providing this light that you see right here. Okay. We did not have a lot of time to, set up another light. We didn't have enough time to soften that light. And that is why you kind of see this harsh little roll off here, the separation where it's just like light right here and then dark right here. I would have liked to add a light in there where we kind of like separate, or not separate, but we can kind of like soften things up a little bit. But it did the trick. All right. We also added a B7C light bulb in this lamp right here for some visual interest. And we had an aperture 120D with a dome that was lighting up this part of the hallway, right? And what that did was, we had the character kind of walk through the hallway at some point, but even in this shot, you can kind of see what it does, which is you have your light right here. You have a little bit darker right here. You have light right here, dark right here, light right here, dark right here. So you get this kind of like checkerboard type of effect. And that kind of helps create that depth in the scene that you wanted, right? So if I could go back, I would have definitely liked to soften this light a little bit more, but I had to make a choice with the time that we had, with the budget that we had, and I thought that it was more important to make sure that we had that kind of checkerboard effect. But that's essentially all we did in this scene. We had 2 B7Cs, and then we had the 300D that was serving 2 purposes. The last thing I will mention is that we had some ceiling lights in here. I think there was actually 4 of them. And what we did is we knocked out, like, you know, that's supposed to be an eraser, but that didn't work out. We knocked out 2 of them, so it made things. It kind of helped us create that checkerboard effect that we talked about. But that was it. Pretty easy shot. One last thing I'll mention that really doesn't have to do with the way that we lit things, but this is not the final shot, so we're gonna be able to work with some stuff. But this right here, go back. This right here, not too happy with that. In a rush, and I should have paid more attention to it, but you know, not much that I can do now. Even if I tried to like do some kind of mask or something in post, it's not gonna look great. So be mindful of what's in your frame. That's something that I try to do. I try to get things right in camera, but in this situation, I let a little something fall through the cracks. You know what I mean? The next scene is the looking in the mirror because I'm so sad, and you know, whatever scene. All right, this one's pretty simple. We did this one relatively quickly. We lost our location, and now we're at Blair's apartment, and this is Blair's bathroom. And what we did is we took an Aperture Nova and I placed it on the floor in this corner of the bathroom, and it was bouncing light into the corner of the room. Now, I also added one of those cheap diffusion sheets that you can get on Amazon. I added that to the front of it. It's already a soft light, and when you add that, it softens it even more, and when you bounce it, it softens it even more. So what that does is it gives us this nice, you know, roll off from the light to the darker side here. In contrast to what we saw in the hallway shot. It's nice and smooth. You don't have this like dividing line like you do in the other one. So the only thing I would do different is I would put that light up higher, and I would have had it, instead of being on the floor, I would have had it shoot into the ceiling. And I would have kind of controlled the exposure a little bit more. We were kind of in a hurry, and I'm usually not the let's do it in post type of person, but this kind of stuff we can work to kind of address the exposure and the framing, all that kind of stuff. So the last light that we had was we had an Aperture 120D with a Fresnel, and that's outside, right outside that door you see there, and it was kicking light into this little corner here. It's trying to give us the illusion that there was 2 windows. There was one window outside that door, and there was another window over here lighting the scene. But that's all we did. I think, to be honest, I have some clips. I might show you a clip that I shot on an iPhone. You might see a 300D that was on a light dome that was kind of like shooting into here a little bit. It just kind of helped fill this space up a little bit more, so I could get the exposure levels that I wanted. But that was it. So this is the last scene. This is the person laying in the bed, you know, texting or tossing and turning or crying or whatever. And before we break down the lighting on this one, I remember it was a few years ago, this DP told me that they had a shoot in a warehouse, and they dropped some sheets on the floor with a pillow, and they did an overhead rig, and that's how they got the bedroom scene. You know what I mean? The person laying in the bed scene. And you can kind of see it here, where the sheet is folded up. I mean, that's exactly what we did here. We just threw some sheets on the floor and we got it done. Let me show you how we lit this. It was nice and quick. We threw a Nova on the ground. We threw that same layer of diffusion that you get from Amazon that we use in the bathroom scene in front of the Nova. And then we bounced that light off the wall, and it came back and it lit this character's face here, which is Blair. And I think that was the only light that we used. If for some reason I used any negative fill here, or if we use another light, I have some footage that I took on my iPhone. I'll toss it in this video, and I'll make note of it, but I'm pretty sure that's all that we used. What that did is it gave us that, what we talked about in the bathroom scene, a nice roll off from your highlights over to your shadow side. So instead of having that stark difference between the light and the shadow like we did in the hallway, it rolls off nice and smooth, and I think it looks pretty good. Once we get it in post and we kind of add some mask and adjust how bright this is, and we kind of change that blue and we crop in, I think it'll be a nice image. So it was nice and quick. Set it up on the floor and used one light. I think that's it for this video. We covered 3 scenes, right? Yeah, 3 scenes. that you're probably gonna use all the time. You're gonna use the doorway scene. You're gonna use the somebody laying in the bed scene. You're gonna use the bathroom, somebody crying in the mirror scene. There's probably a billion different ways to shoot this. I keep changing it from hundreds to billions and millions, but hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of how I lit it for this particular situation, and maybe you can use some of these little things that I did on here on one of your shoots. If you've done this before and you want to share how you did it, share that in the comment section. I would love to see how you did it. If you want to link some videos down there so that we can kind of watch how you did it, that'd be great too. But I think that's it for today. I'll catch you guys in the next video.